Ren hated scorched terrain. The way it clung to your boots, crunched under every step, whispered reminders of the fight that had come before, and the silence left behind. The ruins of Outpost Ilex weren't just burned. They'd been dismantled mid-siege, communication towers snapped like brittle bone, half-melted consoles sunk into charred walls. Still, orders were orders. His survey scanner beeped every few meters, reminding him to log anything salvageable. Ren ducked under a bent support beam and stepped into what used to be a command room. The air still tasted like ozone and carbon scoring. He moved toward the center console, only to stop mid-stride. There, beneath twisted bulkheads, was a figure. Cloaked in scorched ceremonial armor, gold threads dulled by soot, breathing shallow and faint. Not human. She looked like one of the Elendari, tall, silver-skinned, vaguely feline eyes beneath her fractured helm. He crouched slowly. "Hey! You alive under there?" The figure stirred. Then groaned. He tapped his comm command, "This is Scout Ren Haveth. I've got a survivor. Elendari. Female. Unarmed, but she's got some kind of broken regalia." "Hostile," came the crackling reply. "Not at the moment. You're not authorized for contact. I'm not leaving her here." He cut the feed. Her eyes opened at that. Sharp and wary. She tried to sit up but collapsed again. "Don't move," Ren said, reaching for the med gel on his belt. "You're bleeding through about 6 layers of nobility." She hissed something in her native tongue. He didn't catch the words, but the tone was unmistakable, insult. "Okay, you're awake enough to be rude. That's a good sign." He knelt beside her, pressing the gel over a gash on her shoulder. The armor sparked violently. He jerked back. "Okay, rude and electrified. Great." She reached up, voice strained. "It won't deactivate. The symbiosis won't release." Ren studied the armor. Its tech was ancient Elendari class. Half organic, likely keyed to neurological state. If she couldn't calm it down, it would keep shocking anything trying to help her. "You got a shutdown code?" he asked. She hesitated. Then, with difficulty, said, "It needs resonance. The right frequency. A lullaby." He blinked. "What?" The armor was designed to bond with the Queen's heartbeat. When agitated, it requires musical override. Ren looked at her, deadpan. "So let me get this straight. You want me to sing your suit to sleep?" A weak nod. He sat back on his heels. "That might be the most absurd sentence I've heard in 3 deployments." But her breathing was shallow, and her skin was graying fast. The armor was draining her. He sighed. "Fine. But if I die singing, I'm haunting your next coronation." He cleared his throat. And began to hum. It wasn't perfect. A half-remembered tune from childhood, off-key and dusty. But soft. Gentle. The armor sparked once, then stilled. Ren opened one eye. She was watching him. And for the first time, something like amusement flickered in her expression. "That was, surprisingly tolerable," she whispered. "High praise from a half-dead royal cactus," he muttered. Then added, "What's your name?" Her lips twitched. "You may call me Saris." It didn't sound like a field name. Or a soldier's. But Ren didn't press. He just sat beside her while her armor settled into sleep mode, the battlefield quiet around them. And somewhere between the ruins and the awkward lullaby, something unspoken had already begun. The next hour passed with fewer explosions and more uncomfortable silence. Ren patched Saris up as best he could. Her physiology was close enough to humanoid that his medgel stopped the bleeding, but she flinched at every touch, whether from pain or pride, he couldn't tell. They sat beside the collapsed pillar, her armor dormant now, faintly humming as it adjusted to its new passive state. "You always carry ceremonial armor into a recon fight?" he asked, unwrapping a ration bar. "Feels a bit overdressed." She took the offered bar, inspected it like it might explode, then nibbled the edge. "I wasn't here for war. Could have fooled me. I was inspecting the battlefield." He arched an eyebrow. "For what?" "Remains," she said. "My people leave nothing sacred behind." Ren chewed, then gestured at the ruins. "Not much left to retrieve." "Not for you," she replied. "But for us, every inch of soil holds memory. Blood stains that don't wash out in data logs." There was a pause. Long enough for both of them to realize they'd stopped arguing. A faint whine cut through the wind. High-pitched. Familiar. Drop ships. Ren turned toward the sound, squinting at the horizon. 3 ships. Not human design. Sleek, violet hulls edged in silver. Elendari Royal class. "Well," he muttered. "Guess the cavalry found you." Saris pushed herself upright, wincing. "They'll be cautious. Protocol requires confirmation of life signs and threat assessment." "You're still registered as active duty?" "No," she said. "They'll scan for me directly." And sure enough, moments later, one of the ships began a slow descent toward their position. Ren stood, brushing dirt from his jacket. "Should I duck for cover, or is this where I get a medal for singing your murder suit to sleep?" "You might want to put that weapon down," she said. He looked down. Blaster still holstered, but technically visible. "Right." By the time the lead ship touched down, Saris had fully straightened, back rigid, chin high. Her armor shimmered back to life, not fully active, but enough to signal her identity. The ramp hissed open. 6 armored figures descended, all cloaked in that same violet-gold regalia. One stepped forward, a tall Elendari with intricate braids and a blade strapped to his back. "Your Majesty," he said, kneeling immediately. Ren blinked. "Wait. Majesty?" Saris sighed. "Did I forget to mention that part?" The guard rose, eyes snapping to Ren. "Human." Saris stepped in front of him. "He aided me," she said. "Protected me. He is armed. He is unthreatening." The guard's brow furrowed. "He should be processed." Ren cleared his throat. "I'm standing right here." Another Elendari raised a scanner. "He has a full tactical loadout." "He also carried me out of the rubble," Saris snapped. "And activated my armor's override. He is under my protection." Silence. Ren shifted uncomfortably. "So, does this mean I get diplomatic immunity or?" Saris turned to him. "It means you're going to keep your mouth shut and let me handle this." He held up both hands. "Gladly." Within minutes, a med unit was summoned. Ren was scanned, twice. Each time, the guard looked more annoyed that he wasn't carrying some sort of biological weapon. Saris, now seated in a high-backed grav chair, barked orders between blood transfusions and data checks. Finally, one of the soldiers returned with a verdict. "Field protocol recommends interrogation and neural probe for foreign combatants on royal soil." Saris didn't blink. "And what does Imperial law say?" "That he must be processed unless registered under an Allied Cultural Preservation Act." She turned to Ren, smiled tightly. "Congratulations. You're now an independent battlefield archaeologist. And I've just claimed you under the sanctity of Ruin Protocol." Ren stared at her. "You made that up." "I absolutely did not," she replied. "You're terrifying." "Yes," she said. "Now smile for the royal ledger." A tiny floating drone snapped a photo. Ren just sighed. Ren wasn't sure what was more surreal. Being flown in a Royal Elendari cruiser while wrapped in half-melted armor scraps, or the fact that Saris kept defending him like he was some priceless cultural artifact. They left the ruins behind, the ship lifting smoothly into the clouds. Inside, every surface gleamed, polished obsidian glass, woven strands of soft silver overhead glowing in a pulse that matched Saris's own armor. He sat awkwardly on the edge of a low, curved bench while 3 guards stared at him like he might spontaneously combust. Meanwhile, Saris reclined against an angled platform, a new med-filament patch humming gently across her ribs. "So," Ren finally said, "this sanctity of ruin thing. That a real law, or am I about to be disassembled for misfiling?" Saris glanced at him. "It's real. Technically. It hasn't been invoked since the Selenian collapse. But if anyone argues, I'll just cite its historical precedents and outquote them into submission." "That's comforting." "Not for them." One of the guards approached and handed Saris a slim data slate. She scanned it, then waved a hand. "Get him cleared through diplomatic customs," she said. "I'm invoking Tier 5 protection." The guard blinked. "For him?" "Yes. For him." Ren squinted. "What's Tier 5 protection?" "Basically," Saris said without looking at him, "you're now too important to be imprisoned, questioned, or accidentally vaporized." "Oh," Ren said. "Cool. Love not being vaporized." A few beats passed in awkward silence. Then Saris turned toward him, her voice lower. "You saved me when you didn't have to. Risked your life. Sang to armor that could have killed you. You didn't ask for anything." Ren shrugged. "Didn't seem right, leaving someone behind." "I wasn't just someone," she said. "You knew I was Elendari. Didn't matter." That made her pause. "I've met senators who wouldn't have done what you did," she said. "You didn't just defy orders. You sang to a hostile queen." He smirked. "Sounds cooler when you say it." "You'll never say it that way again," she warned, but there was warmth in her voice. Later, they docked in the capital's royal hangar. It was massive, miles of polished stone and crystal columns that reached into the mist. Ren followed her out of the ship, trying not to trip over himself. "Where exactly are we going?" he asked. "The Hall of Graces," Saris replied. "We're filing your registration." "My what?" She stopped and turned to him. "You're going to be officially declared friend of the crown." He froze. "That sounds permanent." "It is. I don't think my CO is gonna be thrilled." She tilted her head. "Let me guess. You'll get demoted for saving the enemy. Best case. Transferred to paperwork duty on a mining rock." She reached into her armor and withdrew a thin pendant on a violet-black cord. It shimmered faintly with a pulse not unlike her armor's. "This," she said, "is the signet of recognition." She placed it in his hand. "Now no Elendari ship can fire on you. No soldier can lay hands on you. And anyone who harms you risks losing access to every treaty we've signed in the last 30 years. Ren stared at it. "That's kind of a big deal." She stepped closer. "So was saving me." He swallowed. "So this is goodbye?" She hesitated. Then smiled faintly. "Not quite." They entered the hall together, passing through archways carved with ancient battles and buried peace accords. Ren wasn't sure what kind of history they were about to make. But as Saris walked beside him, not ahead, not above, just beside, he realized something rare had happened. A battle. A rescue. A song. And now, something stranger. Something real. Ren never imagined his name would end up in a royal ledger, much less chiseled into a crystalline monument under honored civilian allies of the crown. And yet here he was, standing awkwardly in a ceremonial cloak that felt more like a table runner, flanked by two Elendari nobles who clearly thought he was either a spy or an accident of fate. Possibly both. At the front of the ceremonial court, Ceres stood tall in full royal regalia, crown-like circlet reactivated, armor newly restored, the once cracked plates now polished to a gleam. She looked every inch the monarch. Every inch the woman he'd pulled out of rubble days ago. The High Chancellor read his citation aloud in an accent so stiff it sounded like each syllable was carved from stone. For unparalleled courage in defense of Her Grace Ceres Talvarin, and for actions executed without prejudice, political gain, or military directive. Ren Haveth is hereby granted protected diplomatic status and may be recognized under Tier 5 Accord as an auxiliary cultural steward in contested territories. Ren leaned sideways toward Ceres. So I'm officially, a glorified battlefield tour guide? Her lips barely moved. A very well-protected one. He grinned. Do I get hazard pay? No, she said, amused. But you do get dinner. After the ceremony, when the nobles dispersed and the palace shadows grew long with evening, Ceres led him through one of the upper gardens, a quiet place carved into terraces of glass stone and bioluminescent flora. You sure you're okay being seen with me? Ren asked, hands in his pockets. Might cramp your imperial image. She stopped beside a glowing vine wall, reached up, and pulled one of the blossoms down to inspect it. I've spent most of my life being seen but not understood, she said. Now I'm being understood by someone I'm not supposed to see at all. He looked at her. You're not just playing a game with this, are you? Ceres's eyes met his. No. This isn't a game. She stepped closer. Not regal now. Not armored. Just tired, fierce, and something close to vulnerable. You were supposed to be a footnote in a field report. Instead, you changed the terms of a 1,000-year standoff. With a lullaby. He laughed. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that part out. She held out the pendant again, this time not for diplomacy, not for protection. I want you to keep this, she said. Not as a shield. As a promise. He took it, slowly. To what? That this isn't over. That one day, when we're not hiding in wreckage or dodging policy, you'll come back. Not to rescue me. Just to stand beside me. Ren turned the pendant over in his hand. You're really giving this to me? I already did, she said. You just didn't realize it the first time. They stood under the stars in silence for a while. Then she stepped forward and kissed him. It wasn't political. It wasn't public. It was just real. The next morning, Ren boarded the transport back to human space. No ceremony. No escort. Just a new identity on file, a pendant tucked under his shirt, and a story no one would ever quite believe. But every time he caught his reflection, he saw the slight shimmer of the Elendari cord. And he smiled. Because sometimes, the galaxy changed with a war. And sometimes, with a song.